What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Triple Cap here, and well, I just wanted to do a little video about this DJI Mini 3. I've had this little guy now for a couple of days. I've been able to fly it, check out the video footage, some of the features. So I figured I would do my own little official, DJI FPV Mini review. Now, I'd like to point out, this is not the Mini Pro, this is just the Mini. It's kind of crazy how my whole drone interest came into play. When I started off into FPV, when I first saw my first racing drone video or freestyle drone video, I was looking for something like this. I was searching for a drone that could carry a nice camera. I just happened to come across FPV. I sidetracked and I went straight into FPV and said, screw this slow thing. Don't regret it one bit. I love FPV, still love FPV. I will always fly my drones, my FPV drones. But initially I was looking for a nice camera drone. I was always interested in photography and cinematography, and I just wanted to try to find a drone that could carry a decent camera. I had a toy one. It wasn't the greatest video. I ended up getting a better camera. I needed a drone that could carry it. Started doing some research, ran into racing drones. But anyways, this is exactly what I was looking for initially, and well, today I've got one. This is the DJI Mini 3. Again, it's not the Pro. The Pro's got a few more features, but yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into it. All right, so the DJI Mini 3. Let's talk about some first impressions. First impression when I first saw it. The thing is small, it's light as a feather, I think it's well crafted. I mean, maybe not completely indestructible, but the plastic is made up it's not, heavy duty by any means, but it'll hold up to, a small tumble here or there. I wouldn't crash it into a tree at full speed, but it's not bad. You can tell it's decent quality. I really like how it folds up and it gets, you can break it down and put it into a little case. As a matter of fact, it doesn't come with a case, but I'm actually using this old Low Pro. It's like a camera bag, and it fits in there perfectly. So it's nice and compact, which is a good thing. You can take it anywhere. If you want to go on a hike, on a trip somewhere, anywhere, on a boat, it doesn't matter. You fold it up, you can practically put it in your pocket. It was reasonably priced. It wasn't too expensive. I mean, there are a lot of other DJI drones out there that cost way more than this does, but it wasn't super cheap either. And I made a mistake last time of buying a really cheap drone, well, $220, and it being a piece of crap. So yeah, it's reasonably priced, I believe, for what it's capable of. One big plus is it's under 250 grams. It says it weighs 249, but everybody I've seen it's actually weighted, it's been like 246 grams, which keeps you out of those regulations that try to keep you out of the sky. So that's definitely a plus. I was really excited when I saw that it was 249 grams because I knew, the regulations aren't going to stop me from putting this thing in the sky. One thing I also liked was this new remote control. The previous remote control was one of those ones where you put your phone on it. This one, however, has the built-in screen, which, as you can see, is quite nice. It's also brighter than your average phone, works better in the light. The last cheap drone I had, I tried putting my phone on it. I couldn't see it at all. I mean, it was horrible. But this is nice. You don't have to worry about setting it up. It's already connected. Definitely a plus. So yeah, my first impression is it's a nice little drone. It's cheap. I don't like to use the word cheap. It's affordable. It's compact, and it's got a lot of nice features. All right, let's talk about setup. Number one of the easiest setups to a drone I've ever had. I've never gotten a drone and put it in the sky as quick as I did this thing. Basically, you unbox it, you charge it, you update the firmware, and you hit the fly button. I think somewhere in there you do have to create an account for DJI, and you have the option to buy their whatever their insurance is. I forget what it's called. The app itself will prompt you all the way through. Like, it'll tell you every little thing you need to do. It'll say, do this, do that, do this. And I mean, I was literally flying within maybe 10 minutes. Once everything was charged and the firmware was updated, I was literally flying at the push of a button. Basically, once you get this thing updated and you get it charged, you push a button, it's in the air. It's that simple. Basically, as soon as you get it charged and you update the firmware, you push a button, you're in the sky. Everything's already paired. The remote is already connected to the drone. The drone already has the compass calibrated. You just push the button and you're flying. It's that simple. So let's talk about the first flight. Basically, like I said, I push a button and it's flying in the sky just like that. It was pretty simple. I got it in the air. I played around with some of the functionality. I took some videos. I took some panoramas, some pictures. It also has this cool feature where it can flip the camera vertically and it can take, like as if it was off your mobile phone. So it's good for like social media. I played around with a few other features like the quick shots. It's got this thing called quick shots, which basically does an automatic. Here, let's show you an example. This one's called the rocket. This is just one of the presets that you can push a button and make it do something. There's about 4 or 5, I think there's 5 of them. It basically just lifts up and goes above your head. But it's got several little features like that. They're really cool and make flying this thing much easier. But it has several different features like that. It's got one where it'll circle around you. It's got one where it'll do like this elliptical circle while it's rising in the air. There's a couple other functions, but I won't get into all of those. Overall, I was able to get it in the air and get some nice footage. I was able to fly it with ease. It flew perfectly. It's very stable. The footage comes out looking beautiful. That gimbal that's up there really does some really cool things. It really works well. So it really does a good job of flying, and any purpose you need for a drone, this thing can pretty much handle it. One of the cool features it has GPS, obviously, so it has the return to home functionality. When you're done flying or whatever and you don't feel like trying to bring it all the way back, you hit that return to home button and it'll bring it back to the home point that it set when it first launched. As soon as it launches, it sets a home point, and that point is where it'll return to. Even if you move and go to like 100 feet away, it's going to go back to the initial spot it took off. One thing that did kind of catch me off guard with the return to home when I first hit it, because basically I flew way out past those tree lines over there. The battery was starting to get low, and I was like, all right, let's try this return to home button. So I hit the return to home button, and I sat there and watched it, and it looked like it was going up. And then I looked at my screen, and it was definitely rising. And I'm like, okay, 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet. How high is this thing going? I was freaking out a little bit, so I canceled it because I'm like, please don't go back to China. I need you. So I canceled it and I brought it back. So one thing I would recommend if you get this drone, make sure you check that return to home height, because there's a setting where you set it so that it doesn't hit any obstacles when it does return home. It'll raise to that set height, and that set height was at like 400 feet. I don't know why it was that high. It didn't need to be that high. These trees are barely 50 feet, so I lowered that. That was one of the first things I did, was lower that return to home height. Now, if you're in the city or somewhere where there's these 1,000 feet skyscrapers, sure, you might need something that high, but I didn't. All right, so let's talk about some pros and cons. Let's see here. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Overall, I like this drone. I'm just gonna say that right now from the get-go. There's a few features I like, and there's a few features I wish it had, but yeah, let's go over a few pros and cons. All right, let's start with the pros. Number one, the weight. That's definitely a pro. Anything that can keep you out of the grasp of the evil government, I'm okay with that. So yeah, the weight is definitely a pro. The price is reasonable considering this is a DJI GPS drone and it has all of the features of most GPS drones. All the basic ones. It's locked in, it flies well. So for the price, I think it's definitely worth it. And GPS, we'll go there. To me, that's a pro. This is my first GPS drone, and I think that makes flight a lot easier. I can sit here and put the remote down if I want to. I've got it in my hand now, but I can just set it down. I don't have to worry about that thing flying away usually. There's been times where people have lost their GPS drones, but GPS is definitely a pro. It's a great flyer overall. It flies really well. It's smooth. It's pretty quick. I think they say this thing goes up to like 30 miles an hour or 35, something like that. But it's it's not as fast as my freestyle drone, but it does okay. And that's another thing. Quality video, amazing video. The video I'm getting out of this thing is beautiful. I'd say it's definitely better than my GoPro footage, and I've only been shooting in 2.7K. I haven't even tried 4K yet. And for this next pro, since today is pretty windy, I'd say that's a good one too. It handles the wind very well. You'll see it jitter and shake and move around, but it comes right back to its spot. And thanks to that good gimbal, it doesn't really affect the video at all. So that's definitely a pro. It's great in the wind. The setup, that's another pro. The setup was simple, easy. It's great for a beginner. Any beginner could get in this, follow the directions, and be in the sky within minutes. The setup is super simple, and that's definitely something worth bragging about. And I know I said it had great video, and that's also a pro, definitely 100%. But one thing that I didn't realize this was going to have, I thought it was going to have, I think it's either 12 or 14 megapixel camera for pictures. Turns out they did an update, and this now has the 48 megapixel camera on here. You have a 48 megapixel camera option, photo option, and that's just fantastic. That takes some really, really big photos that can be printed on walls. I mean, huge photos if you wanted to print them out. Great quality. So that's definitely a pro that they brought that. I thought they had that on the Pro version. When I first ran the update, it said on there that they brought over the 48 megapixel to the Mini 3 version, not the Pro version. So that was great. All right, let's talk about some cons. What is some bad features about this thing? Well, the price. I mean, I know I said it was a pro, but it's also a con because even though it's affordable considering what it is, it's still pretty expensive. I can't remember the exact price, but you can check on Amazon. They have this version with they also have the Fly More versions. They have the Pro versions. They're going to run between $500-$600, somewhere around there. And it's still quite a chunk of change to put out there. Another con, and this is, I mean, if you want the Mini 3 Pro, it's not a con at all, but this doesn't have any obstacle avoidance. You have to be careful what you're flying around. You can't just run it into something and expect it to stop. It's not going to. It doesn't have any obstacle avoidance. So that could be considered a con, I suppose. And this little bit is nitpicking, but it doesn't come with an SD card. And that was a con for me because I was expecting it to. Like most drones, when you get them, a lot of times they already come with the SD card. Like the cheap one that I bought, it even came with 56 gigabyte SD card. So I kind of expected it to come with one, and it didn't, but that's okay because I did have some that I used for my GoPros and stuff, so I was able to use that. But if I hadn't there was no indication on there that it didn't have one that I could see. And if I'd have known, I'd have bought one special for it, but not knowing that, I got it, and I got it home expecting it to be there. And if I didn't have some already, I'd have been a little disappointed. But to me, that's a little bit of a con, but they should throw an SD card in there. We're paying a lot of money for this thing. Another con is it doesn't have any of the fancy tracking. Like, it has certain features that you can kind of do some fake tracking with it, but it doesn't have actual tracking where it locks on to you and can follow you around. It doesn't have any of that. And that, if you want that, they have that in the Pro version, but they don't have that in the Mini 3 version. And then again, this is the Mini 3, which actually came after the Pro, if I'm not mistaken. The Pro has a few more features than this one, but other than that, it's still a great buy. Another con is the batteries are kind of expensive. I only got one. I didn't get the Fly More kit, and I was looking at the batteries. I was going to buy an extra one, and the cheapest one I could find was like $90. So, and I don't know. I think that was for the Plus. That was for the one that lasts a little bit longer. And that's another thing. There's a battery that keeps you under the 249 grams. You get about 38 minutes of flight time. And then there's a Plus version where you're supposed to get like almost 50 minutes or something like that. You're supposed to get a lot more flight time out of it, but it puts you over that 249 gram weight that is, so important to a lot of people. So yeah, the batteries can be expensive. That's kind of a con. And I think the final thing that I'm going to say is a con is it doesn't come with, at least this didn't come with a case, any kind of hard case or anything like that. I think the Pro version comes with a softer case, but it doesn't come with a hard case, something to protect it. And that's a little disappointing, but it basically came just a drone and the remote in a box, and it's okay. I guess it saves me a couple dollars, but it'd be nice to have a little case to throw it in. Like I showed you earlier, I'm running this little camera bag, which is not hard, not protective, but it does get it to where it needs to go. So, and I think that's going to wrap us up. I'm going to share some final thoughts with you. Overall, I like this drone. I highly recommend it to anybody out there. I gave it 5 stars on Amazon, and I'm sure you will too. I think it's great for beginners. It's easy to set up. It takes great video, and it flies very well. I'm excited to continue using this. I can't wait to get it in the sky some more, and I'm actually going to take it home now and charge it so I can come out here later on this evening and get some more shots. Anyways, that's the DJI Mini 3, and I like it. This is my review about it. I think it's a great product. I know there's a lot of people who hate DJI. I'm not one of those people. I love my freestyle drones. I love FPV, but this is a separate tool altogether. It's made for something totally different. It's not meant to be competing with FPV. It's a separate tool, and I'm going to use it. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that, and I know there's a lot of DJI Mini videos out there, but there's a lot of them. There's not a lot for the Mini 3 itself. There's a lot for the Pro, but not the Mini 3. There's a couple. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you hit that like button and you subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cap is out. Peace.